Right.
Definitely
I
sure
think
we
we
are
are now live. Hey. So, hello, people.
Hello, Internet.
Good evening.
Hello, world. So,
I thought you'd just write a little bit of...
I'd love to know how many people started their journey in programming, coding, by doing print hello world.
I mean, that is the standard.
It's got to be millions.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that was the Sinclair ZX81 basic manual, basic as in the language. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was something like that. It might have just been hello, or hello world. And that was back in the 80s, obviously, ZX81.
Punch cards.
Yeah, almost.
I don't remember things like that.
Oh, you're young. Yeah. I do. That was the best. That was my best Christmas as a kid ever, I think, because I had a computer, a TV to use the computer on. I mean, it was only black and white portable telly. It was the cheapest thing my parents could find, and a cassette recorder. As well, yeah. It's like it could have been all the possibilities in one go. Yeah. I could watch TV in my room because it was the little external aerial as well, so no need to plug into. I mean, there was only 3 channels then. Was it 4? Yeah, 3. Yeah. What was it for then? I'm trying to remember when Channel 4 started. And if that was in Wales, may even have had 5 channels because we've got S4C as well.
S4C as well, yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the best things about being in North Wales for a bit, that S4C. Just being absolutely weird and very different to normal Channel 4, which is weird.
Yes, there was some
in itself.
Yeah, there were some very odd programs. Yeah, even ignoring the fact that some of them were in Welsh. Yeah, it was some interesting TV. But I suppose we ought to start properly, shouldn't we? We should try and do a proper start. So, good evening for those who are watching live, and for those who are listening later in the week. Good evening, and welcome to episode 4. I think we're on episode 4 now, aren't we? I think of Makers Waffle. We're it's quite fun listening to other podcasts. They say, "Oh yeah, episode 50 odd, episode 40 odd, episode 300, or whatever." In the case of making it and the like, and they all had to start somewhere. So we're on that start of that journey. Yeah, be a few weeks before episode 10, and even longer before we get to episode 100. But hopefully we won't wait until
if people still want us around by then.
Yeah.
Both viewers.
Well, we have at least 4 viewers. Oh, hang on, no, there's a number in the corner. We have 16 viewers at the moment. But I'm guessing
there's a lot of trouble in
one of those. So, we have at least 15 people that decided on their Sunday evening to spend it with us. Plus, of course, us 3. So that makes 18 people. I think that's a good thing. So, this evening, we, as well as obviously Jamie as a co-host, we have our good friend Duncan Band, who goes around on the internet as Little Hobby Shop, indeed.
Indeed, yeah.
Always funny when you're super tall.
It is, yeah. Well, that was part of the fun of it, really.
The unnecessarily long human.
Yes. LHS could be long human shop.
Oh my god, we need to do that as a thing.
That'd be a t-shirt, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Perfect for Makers.
Love to do that. Make Central. Yeah. Knock out a few t-shirts.
Stretch the image as well.
Yes. Yeah. And then crop them just a little bit short so it makes everyone look tall.
I thought you were just suggesting we're going to make a Central in a crop top.
Well, most shirts on me look like a crop top, so let's roll with it.
Just got to pull the trousers all the way up just to match.
That's right, yeah. Make sure you've got matching socks on because they will be visible.
You're assuming it's going to be a bit chilly in August then for Maker Central, so we're going to need not being cut off denim hot shorts. What do you call this?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Hot pants is option 1.
Oh, that is not going to be a fun thing.
I think you look great in hot pants, Jamie.
Oh, many people would disagree with you. Still pay for therapy for some of them.
Oh dear. We won't go into that then.
Story for another day.
Oh, I think my face is hurting already.
That's a good sign. Definitely a good
Yeah, I
sign.
think you'll have to do more of the talking. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've already straight away had, a comment in the chat that I think we need to address early doors. Is it, Duncan? We've got you on because you're a good friend and we love having a waffle with you. But Caro has already asked where your boy is.
My boy, he is fast asleep, dead to the world, because we had a fantastic walk out today in the woods with my daughters, and we were out for a good couple of hours, and he is absolutely shattered. But should he decide to appear later on, then I shall grab him, and he can say hi to Caro.
I should clarify.
Should we
that is
explain that for
Duncan's dog.
the benefit of those?
Yeah. My boy is my dog, Floki, and he is a Boston Terrier, and he is the handsomest little man that you've ever seen, and he knows it too. So, yeah, and Caro's a little bit in love with him.
Rightly so, because he is very, very cute.
Very much, yes.
He is a very, very handsome boy.
I should say that wasn't actually what Caro asked. That was me kind of using Caro as a good excuse there to ask where he was. She actually asked the question directly for Floki, which is
I see.
Perfect.
Well, yeah.
So it just illustrates.
I ask him every day, and still haven't got a good answer.
You just need to teach him English as well as like fetch and sit and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I
when we
believe
were
dogs
having
are supposed to be able to understand about 200 separate words in English.
Yeah,
or
something like that.
whatever language it is that you're using. So,
I don't know. He's pretty good actually. He's probably got 9 or 10. But he tends to be better with hand signals actually. Kind of when he was a pup and we were training him, and well, he's still a pup really, but going through training, we'd unconsciously do hand signals like a finger for wait or sit or point to the ground with down, and over time we realized that he was pretty much ignoring what we were saying but looking at what we were doing with our hands. So he seems to be better when you're doing stuff with your hands rather than listening to the actual words. But it doesn't matter, you don't need a dog to listen to every single command you do. I don't think, as long as he's happy and you can have enough sort of influence to keep him safe. Like if you call him that he's going to come, tone makes huge difference. Yeah. It was nice for us because we had a dog previously, a Staffy, and she was great, but she came to us. She was a little bit older. She was 3 or 4 when she came to us, so it was a little bit more difficult to do that training with her, and we didn't have influence right from the start. But this time round, it's been really good. It's been really enjoyable for us, sort of with him, to go through all of that basic sort of training and commands, and you get a good sense of his character as well. Yeah, it's been good. It's been great. He's 9 months now, just over 9 months.
God, really that long?
Yeah.
I was going to say
it's gone
6.
quick. It's gone quick. Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. He's
Absolutely.
great fun. Yeah.
Now, am I right in thinking this is the first podcast you've ever been on?
It is. It is indeed.
So,
yeah,
some people
welcome.
probably, welcome, and no, I won't go there.
Broke him in.
Yeah. So it might be useful for the benefit of perhaps people who don't know you so well, as obviously we do. If perhaps take a couple of minutes just to kind of give us your a bit of a potted history. Who is Duncan? What's the little hobby shop? What's kind of your
Okay.
background? What do you do for a living? Just as quick as you
Okay.
like, as long as you like.
All right then. Right. Where to start? School, I guess. Love
Always a
school.
good place.
Massive nerd. Didn't get on great with the social aspect of things, but generally enjoyed school. Did reasonably well, and then got bored very quickly as I got towards the end of school and college. And I don't know what it's like, sort of rest of the world wise, but UK, it's very much, oh, you've got to go to uni. Everyone goes to uni. And that's the direction that everyone gets pushed in. But first year of college, I'd had enough, and decided I wanted to leave and join the Navy, which didn't go down great with my dad. But fortunately, my stepmom managed to talk him round, and I left and joined the Navy at 17. So that's what I went and did, because I wanted to go and do something. It seemed like a good option. I got an education, further education while I was there.
So what did you train in while you were at the Navy then?
So I trained in, what was the full title? Marine, Mechanical and Electrical Engineering.
Very fancy.
So did that with the Navy.
So fixing anything that moves and anything that's electrical on a boat.
Yeah, basically. I joined as an artificer, which is a very old word, and they don't have them anymore, for a sort of specialist engineer that can basically move about all the engineering departments on a ship and just get on with the job. So as an artificer apprentice,
a fancy dog's body sort of thing.
Yeah. So as an artificer apprentice, where you're on slightly faster promotional path and a higher pay grade than the mechanics, you're kind of the ultimate scumbag. So that was it's a bit rough. It was a bit rough the first 18 months or so, but you get over that, and I really enjoyed it. I did 6 years in the end, not as long as many people, and I didn't actually end up going that far. I did a tour of the Med, and a little trip through the Suez Canal, but yeah, I didn't get all that far, but it was great. It was the best thing for me. Uni, I probably would have failed miserably, not because of the academics, I don't think, but because of just the whole lifestyle of it. I was already bored of education and wanting to get on. So it was absolutely the right choice for me. I was immature when I started, and you grow up very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, from other people I know who've been in services and stuff, it's a great way of shaping who you are for the future.
Oh yeah, fantastic. And I mean, still now, I live on the south coast of the UK, near Portsmouth, which is one of the three main ports for the Navy. And obviously, there's a lot of naval families in the area, and you can almost tell who's ex-military because of the way they speak, the way they handle themselves, the way they talk, the language they use. So yeah, it does shape you, definitely. But that's the whole part of it, really. I mean, very early on, basic training in any uniform services, they're going to break you down and then build you up to what they need you to be. But yeah, it was good. So yeah, 6 years in the Navy. I left because by that time I had a family, and you know, doing 6 month deployments is a single person's game, you know. So once you got a partner and children, it changes priorities. So left the Navy, and then started in a job doing instrumentation for large industrial sites. So I look after environmental emissions monitoring gear. It's all very specific and
Big
not
exhaust
very
fans.
exciting. Yeah, so lots of chimney climbing, lots of intricate electronics, and basically we measure the gases that come out of a chimney, so that the site can report them to Environment Agency or whatever authority they come under.
Is this like power plants or
Power stations, waste incinerators. We do some little machines for labs, and a few odd ones, crematoriums.
oh wow.
Yeah, I guess there's emissions, aren't there? Yeah.
Yeah. So, anything over a certain sort of kilowatt size that has gas emissions has to report it. So they have to have kit on there that will do that, and we look after it, fault find it, fix it, service it, stuff like that. So I drive more or less all over the UK, mostly in the south, but I do get the occasional trip to Europe, which is nice.
Cool.
Yeah, obviously not over the last 18 months, but
Well, why is that then? It's been something going on. If I missed something.
yeah.
I have obviously, we've been friends for a while now, and we share random nuggets of stuff from our daily lives. So I've seen that you've obviously been involved in bits of the background stuff at your work, improving things and tweaking things, and some of your design boxes and stuff have been quite interesting.
I have a problem where I just
you naturally tweak stuff, don't you? Improve things.
I can't help it, and it's a nightmare because you end up going, oh, well, that would be better if we tweaked that bit and changed that bit, and then someone important hears you and goes, yeah, all right then.
Go
and then you go,
spoken like a true volunteer.
Yeah. So now I'm doing my day job, and I'm doing this extra job as well. And then the extra job doesn't quite pan out as quickly as you do. So a month later, something else comes along, and you go, "Oh yeah, I can do that." And then you end up with a third job, isn't it? Yeah. I can't help it. I can't help myself. I've got fingers in too many bloody pies. Too many technical things.
300 unfinished projects. So sign of a true maker.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. No, it's good. I get bored easily, so there's only so many times you can service a gas analyzer and it'll be interesting. So I find myself other things to be doing. And,
I think with that sort of engineering background, and I suppose working on ships and things as well, there's always that sense of needing to maintain something before it breaks, or improve something so that it doesn't break, or preemptive maintenance, or incremental improvements to eke out bits of efficiency or things like that. I think that's a bit of an engineering brain as well as general maker brain, I suppose.
Yeah, I've kind of always been like that as well. Ever since I was a kid, I think I was just born with engineer head.
Generic.
Yeah, it's just curiosity. I think it is. That's what it boils down to. I can't help myself, and I struggle sometimes to understand a lot of people who don't care how a phone works, or aren't interested in why their washing machine's leaking. They just want someone to fix it.
Yeah.
And I can't help myself and go, well, let's take it apart. Let's have a look.
It's all about the why, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Can't help it. And I can't understand people that it's just like foreign. I just don't get it. Why would you not want to try it? Like, I don't know. My bike's not working. The brakes keep getting stuck. Dad, can you have a look at it? Or,
Yeah.
Let's
investigate.
Yeah. And I'd say to my kids, well, why is the brake getting stuck? Well, I don't know.
Like, sticks.
Well, why don't you know? Have a look. Take it apart. Here you go. Use my tools.
I suppose in that sense, something specifically like, bike brakes or something, you'd end up with a bit of I'm sort of linking this to like using your senses and stuff, but like you say, like have a look, but also have a listen, and I suppose it's very sensory kind of things. Maybe that's part and parcel of it, maybe that kind of that sensory input, rather than just being something that you look at all day, or something like that. There's a bit more to it, perhaps. Maybe it's just that that dopamine hit of of hearing something clunking in a repeating pattern. Right? Okay, so that's something that's moving. That's and
Yeah.
figuring out these sort of inputs and outputs from yourself while you're looking at a thing that you're trying to solve a problem for.
Yeah. I think just that's come from practice for me, or from experience, as many things do. You just sort of tune in to things that don't look right or sound right, and then. But yeah, I have a problem with letting someone else fix it. I find that quite hard.
From the amount of times that you and I have had, sort of, because I suppose for the other people who don't know, we've got a little, as well as the Makers Waffle chat, out the back of our Makers Waffle chat, because of the amount of us who've got 3D printers, we then had a separate kind of 3D printer chat. So then other people have joined that to get help with their printers and things. So Duncan and I have kind of embarked on lots of sort of side projects again, as we were saying before, but poking and prodding and upgrading and tweaking and things like that of printers, and the amount of lengthy gentle ribbing that we give each other for Duncan's general approach to, as an engineering scientific approach to, right, let's look at step 1 of the process, right, let's have a look at step 2 of the process, and my kind of slightly more lax let's budget and see kind of approach. I think we've had plenty of delicately worded discussions, I think, where you've
so I think the conversation would perhaps go Jamie saying, "Oh, my extruder's skipping," and my response would be, "Okay, does it skip when you do this?" By the time which Jamie next replies, he's gone, "Right, I've changed the nozzle and the extruder and this bit of tube. Oh, and I might as well change the fan as well while I'm there." I'm like,
and I've knocked a wall down.
Yeah.
And we never get to the basics of why it was actually doing that in the first place.
No, we absolutely do get there. What tends to happen is that, well, Duncan would say, here's step 1, then step 2, then step 3, and by that point we should know pretty much what's causing it. So what I've done is instead of going step 1, I've jumped to like step 57, project 3.
Yeah.
Done this, which is like not even vaguely related to the problem that I was actually having. And then, an hour, a day, a week or two later, I then eventually find the problem that Duncan was going to say was step 2, and then it's a 10-minute fix. Which is, fairly standard, but
yeah, it's all good fun. 3D printing fits my mindset perfectly. I love machines. I love automation. I love having machines do things that people can't. I like
repeatability and
the repeatability of it. I like how open it all is, which is kind of unique to 3D printing, in that it's so open. You can tweak the machine infinitely, and and then it's actually quite fun when things go wrong too.
Yeah, I mean, again, I suppose how many times have we
trying to find the problem? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm friends of ours who are in the group with perhaps less experience in 3D printing, trying to diagnose something that they've never come across before. Yeah, Andy, for example. But yeah, that sort of thing of like asking. Again, I suppose from the diagnostics background of asking the right questions to get the right response from the person. It's no good saying the thing is broken. That doesn't give anyone else the information for how to help you fix it. But to say the thing knocks or makes a funny sound when I do this or click this button or something like that, it gives that sort of bit of information that gives you something to go on, or I mean,
Yeah,
again,
and
we have those conversations all the time.
and trying to help someone fix something, particularly online, remotely, it's quite difficult. Not
It is.
not only because of the communication from the person with the broken thing, but the person who's trying to help has to be able to ask the right questions too.
Yeah.
To get that information out of a person that's not necessarily as technically minded as the helper is, because otherwise they wouldn't need help. So yeah, that's hard, and that's why so many forums and Facebook groups and things like that where there's technical help is trying to be gotten, it often it's just a horrible mess, because despite people's best intentions of trying to be helpful, I think perhaps they're not asking the right questions and not getting the right feedback, and then you get probably quite a lot of people that just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, or they've seen it on a video somewhere and think that's the solution to fix all the problems. Or I mean, that's an exercise in itself in creative thinking, and like you say, being able to find something that relates to the person that you're trying to give the help to. It's all very well and good explaining about micro stepping in a stepper motor or something, but to try and find something that is a good metaphor for the person at the other end with less experience to understand what you're trying to explain to them.
Yeah,
that's like creative problem solving, I think.
Yeah,
which I think is kind of innate with a lot of engineers, or at least successful, personable engineers who do well when they deal with people.
yeah. I think
that as well, personable engineers that do well with people.
I think they're probably project
talking
managers.
about. Oh yeah, the ones with mice and keyboard for tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that comes with practice. It is easy to get frustrated with people, but yeah.
Yeah, can I go back? And there's a question which I'll share in a moment on the screen. When you were in school, when you were sort of a kid, did you do much making then? Did you take things apart? I mean, when I was 8, 9, 10 onwards, I was kind of often getting broken electronics and mechanical things to take apart, and sometimes put together, and sometimes they wouldn't. But so, did you was that how you started? Was it fixing your bike? You mentioned a bike earlier.
Yeah. I always had a bike. I loved being on my bike, and I was very sort of duck to water with my bike, and so I was always looking after that, always fixing it. And then a couple of my sister's toys probably got the how does that work treatment, and then never quite went back together the way they were.
That probably fits in perfectly with Rasmus's question then, which is, did you ever get
yes, well, I can answer that directly, because when I said that, I'm thinking of a mechanical wind-up train set that my little sister had, and she's 6 years younger than me, so I would have been probably about 11 at about the time she had this train set. And of course, it's a wind-up thing, and anyone who's taken apart clocks or anything with mechanical elements like that knows that thing is just packed with cogs and springs and tiny little screws. And I took them. I remember it was blue plastic, but I don't it wasn't Thomas. It wasn't Thomas. It was something else. And I took the bottom of this thing, and it was just 2 screws in the bottom. There should be more screws than that in a kid's toy. Anyway, took the 2 off, and it just went poof, and just exploded. And no one else was around. Like, I think people were scattered around the house. No one had seen me do it. And I tried so hard for about probably 45 minutes maybe to get all these cogs and springs back in, and it just never worked again. I managed to get them all back in there to hide the evidence, because of course you have to do that. But it never worked again. So yes, Rasmus, I have gotten in trouble. for taking something apart and not putting it back together again.
At least now in your job, when that happens, you can just blame it on the previous site engineer. Unless it was you on the last site visit.
No. That's half the fun. That's half the fun is trying to fix something, and almost the more difficult it is, the more satisfaction you get from actually sorting it out. There has been occasions when I've had to, say to a colleague that this is just over my head. I need a fresh pair of eyes on it. Sometimes that can be all the difference, and someone else will come along and go, "Oh yeah, it's that," and they've done it in 5 minutes, and you kick yourself about not being able to do it yourself. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. But yeah, I'd always taken apart stuff as a kid. I started replacing plug sockets and plugs and fuses and little things like that. Yeah. Making wise, I spent a lot of time with my granddad in his shed as a kid, and he was never a professional craftsman of any kind. He was just a tinkerer in his shed, just like most of us. And he was always making stools or little tables or some little gadget to fix a problem in the house, and so I was every moment that I saw my grandparents, I was in the shed with granddad, nice. Banging nails in bits of wood, and he made me my own little toolbox, which I've still got, which is great. And yeah, one time he asked me to help him with something, and I remember being so impressed with that, and I was so happy to help my granddad out, who taught me lots of things. And he wanted he loved watching the birds in the garden, and he wanted to take a picture of them, but close up. But every time he tried to creep up on a bird on the feeder, it would fly away. So he wanted a trigger for his camera, so he could mount the camera next to the bird table and hit the shutter from a distance. And he asked me for help, and I was probably 14, 15, and I sort of sat down for 10 minutes and sketched out this thing that involved having a wooden box with the camera in the bottom, a weighted sort of tube above the button, nice. And a little pull-out slider attached to a piece of string. So he could sit on the patio, yank on the bit of string, which would let the weight drop onto the shutter.
That's a brilliant solution.
And he was just like, how? How did you come up with this thing? And I was just like, well, I just did. And it was just great. Just the satisfaction of being able to get to the point where I could help him. Just sense of satisfaction overload. That was brilliant. And he went and built it, and it worked. And nice. It came out with some blurry photos because of he made a copper pipe and filled it with lead, because old people have lead in their sheds, right?
Of course.
And it was quite heavy, so whack on the camera.
Camera shakes,
and the whole thing just shook. But he did get pictures, and it worked. It was great. Yeah, so you'd sit on the patio on a Sunday afternoon watching the birds and yanking on a bit of string every time they came by. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. So makey wise, that's where I probably got my want to build stuff from, and that kind of went on pause all through teenage years, really, until we got our own house, probably 7 or 8 years. 8 years, I think it is now. Yeah, 8 years now. Got a garage, and then I proceeded to fill it with tools.
For working on the house.
Of course, because that was why I was buying tools. It's saying to my other half, yeah, we'll save a fortune. Look, I can build all this stuff. And I was victim of YouTube influence. I started watching Steve Ramsey and very early Jay Bates, where he is building picnic tables and benches in a spare room, and his dust extraction is a massive box fan in the window, you know.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I can do that. I miss playing with my granddad. I can do that. So I go out and buy a table saw, and
So the one you've just recently got rid of.
yeah, the one that I've just sold. I think I've built a few little bits for the house. I have built a few, but nowhere near as many as the ambitions would have.
Well, I mean,
you know,
for the visual
manifested.
listeners, I can see something behind you. Well, right over your head. That was a fantastic little project that you did.
Yeah, I made those.
You did indeed.
Yeah, that's probably one of the 4 things.
I mean, they're fantastic shelf brackets.
They are. They're very, very strong. They are very strong. I've got a significant amount of filament up there, and I trust it all above my head, so it must be okay.
Well, I think that's the thing with taking an engineering approach to woodworking. You know, engineering is, you know, tends to be very precision tolerances and, you know, material science and this kind of stuff that's accounting for minute variances and things like that. And then wood just tends to be, just hit it till it fits, you know.
That's why woodworking projects take me forever.
Yeah, same.
Because it has to be just so. And so it's not. It shouldn't be. And it kind of sucks the fun out of it a little bit. But,
well, that's what I've tended to do, is to shift it from, if I'm not doing something that's super precise, I'll try and do it out of wood to kind of force myself to not, you know, if I can just butt joints and big screws, that will do. It doesn't matter if it's got big gaps, because it's I'll con myself into thinking it's a prototype anyway, and I'll make it properly down the line out of better wood. 10 years later, it's still standing, and you think, I really should tear that down and do it properly someday. And
just label it rustic.
Just not now.
That covers so many things.
Yeah,
that's what I tend
to
do.
Try to be too perfect about it, and rather than just get on with the job. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's why I'm building a CNC machine. Okay, let the machine do it all.
Back to that repeatability, isn't it? It's that,
yeah,
you know,
indeed.
You can't do the same 2 cuts on a piece of wood, but you can get a machine to do them for you, and they'll be the same every time.
Now, talking of building machines, I mean, Jamie and I both know that just hidden out of sight from the kind of camera is your kind of main 3D printer. Obviously, you're not a single 3D printer owner. That you actually sort of made your own 3D printer.
I did, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. I think I probably got as much enjoyment out of building it as I did in the 18 months since of using it. It's good.
Well, it was based on a freely accessible design, wasn't it? But
that's right. Yeah. So it's based on a design called the BLV MGN Cube, which is a hell of a mouthful, but it's a really great open source design, which most of 3D printing is. But yeah, really, really solid design, and you can buy a kit for it. And for the printer that you get at the end, it's pretty reasonably priced. I mean, for the same sort of performance, you'd probably pay 4 times the price that it would cost you to build. So that was the one I went with. There's a few about, but that was the one I chose, and then I tweaked it a bit.
I was going to say, you definitely you Duncaned it a little bit, didn't you?
I Duncaned it. Yeah, I did Duncan it. Yeah, so it's got as many toys as I could afford to put on it, really. I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it once, do it to the best spec that I can afford to do, and yeah, it's a workhorse.
Yeah, so I mean, you've done things like production runs of things, haven't you? For you know, as printing as a service for other people and stuff as well.
Yeah, little bits of that. The biggest challenge was sort of March, April last year, was doing face masks, the headbands for face masks, and it was quite an incredible achievement actually by the 3D printing world as a whole.
It was absolutely.
And little, I say little, there's probably a few hundred 3D printers in the UK producing headbands. And they were being coordinated by a central team, and then all being distributed to hospitals, nursing homes, and sort of areas where
people who
they
needed
weren't priority for government bought PPE. So it did great. I think I knocked out over 200 headbands on Ruby, as it's called, and yeah, that was quite hard. Printer was going sort of 24/7, and this is my office where I work too, so that was a little bit tricky. And there were various challenges along the way, learning how to stack prints that weren't designed to be stacked. And
I was going to bring that up because that was something that, again, the kind of the general consensus of the rest of the 3D printing world in the way that they were doing their stacking was, kind of not as efficient as it could have been. But you then started looking at ways of making that more efficient by temperature changes to allow materials to release more easily.
That's right, yeah.
That was
so
fantastic.
For people who don't 3D print, there's a material called PETG, which is what the headmasks were made out of, and it's a great material.
Similar to your Coke bottle plastic, isn't it?
Yeah. The Coke bottles are made of PET, and printing-wise, it's a little bit trickier than the more common PLA. It sticks together. The layers stick together great, as long as they stay warm. So I tried to use that to my advantage, because if the layer is too cool when you lay another layer down, they don't stick very well. They'll stick a little bit, but as soon as you take them off the printer, it'll come apart. The layer adhesion's quite poor. So I worked out how to manipulate the fan speed between two headbands. So on the sort of interface layer, you'd print one headband, then you'd have this interface layer where I'd crank the fan speed right up, so that the next layer down,
material cooler.
Yeah, so the next layer down didn't stick so well, but it stayed there just about enough to carry on with the headband. And I was printing stacks of 8 headbands at a time using that method, and then being able to pull them apart quite easily. Because in the early stages, I tried stacking them, and like out of a stack of 8, I'd only get 5 usable headbands because bits would break off, and it wasn't very good.
Well, you get a nice double thick headband that you can't use because it welded itself together.
Yeah. So that was full on production. That was full on production runs. Yeah, I ran for probably about 6 weeks. It felt like longer. Having the printer on all the time. Yeah.
A lot of, because I know that the pair of us were running through a lot of testing at the time. I remember seeing the photos that you'd been sent by the hospital of the staff wearing your PPE, which was fantastic.
With the lime green headbands on. It was great. It was great. And I have to mention, they're probably not listening, but all my colleagues at work, I said, look, I'd like to buy lots of filament for this. Can you help? And they were fantastic. And they funded enough for 7 kilos of filament, which was amazing.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Thanks to them. Yes. Yeah.
So talking of work stuff, there was obviously in our run up to you being on, obviously with us asking you and throwing you into the deep end, saying, well, not really giving you an option as to whether you would like to come, telling you were going to be on.
Be here or you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we've done with everyone so far. But you were telling me that there was us posing that to you, kind of linked in quite nicely with a bit of problem solving that you were doing at the time.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it did. Because you had said to me about coming on and how we might talk about troubleshooting and how an engineer's mind works, really, and perhaps how you would go through some troubleshooting. And one of the things that I was thinking about is that about always taking a step back.
Mhm.
It's the most basic of things, but it's actually really hard to do. When you're in the thick of a problem, especially if you're under pressure, if you've got some kind of outside pressure, you've got a time deadline, or someone is depending on you to finish this and fix whatever problem you've come across. Taking a step back can be huge. If you've got time to sleep on it, and sleep on it. But if you need a 10-minute break, take a 10-minute break. And I'd been thinking about that morning on my drive to a customer's site, and I came across a problem, and I'd been working at this issue for maybe half an hour and not really getting anywhere. I thought, I know, I'll take a break. So I took a break and I managed to sort it out. I immediately text Jamie, oh, just because of the podcast, I've managed to fix a problem. But yeah, it's been outside for 5 minutes, and it's just, you just have this, your brain sort of relaxes, I don't know, and you manage to,
yeah, it's a bit of a sort of situational reset, isn't it?
Yeah, you manage to sort of figure it out without even really thinking about it. The answer just kind of comes. I guess your brain's sort of subconsciously working on it still, while the rest of your senses are taking a break.
Yeah, I mean,
it's incredibly effective.
Yeah, we've just been sort of talking with some other friends and stuff about that kind of thing of you know, filling in other time. You know, I mean, they were taking the mickey out of me for being able to find time to browse Reddit on occasion or things like that. But that kind of allowing your brain to passively work on something while you're actively doing something else, I think it's such a useful skill to develop. You know, like you say, to be able to focus on something else. You know, whether it's taking a break, taking a quick walk around the block, or you know, going and washing the dishes or doing the ironing, or something that's occupying a different part of your brain and body, and just
Totally.
allowing it something to churn away without you like actively thinking on the problem. Like you say, I think there's a tendency for us to go down a specific path, especially you know, I mean, I know it's something I'm very guilty of, and we alluded to before with the 3D printing stuff. Of, you know, you get an idea in your head of, right, well, let's eliminate this variable, or let's have a look down this avenue to see if this has any kind of bearing on the problem, or things like that. Whereas maybe taking a more pragmatic approach to it, or right, let's go back to the basics. What's the first step in the chain? What's the first process that happens? What's the first, you know, thing that's likely to fail? What's the most common thing that's likely to fail? You know, and I suppose that kind of working on something that is, you know, standardized parts of something like a gas analyzer, like you say, it's there's only so many things that can go wrong. So you kind of almost have to take that step-by-step approach to eliminate whether it's most common first, or whether it's the first thing in the circuit, or you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're talking about something technical, then and it's something that you're used to seeing, then yeah, there's usually a list of things you can go through. But in unique situations, or something that's not necessarily technical, it can be quite difficult to know the way forward. And there's people in life, you're just problem solving all the time, without even really thinking about it. But when you're in the thick of an issue, it's hard to see ahead, but taking that break can help hugely. Yeah, it's really, really effective, because especially in situations where you've got no experience to fall back on, you've got no manual to look at, you've got nothing else. Letting your mind sort of work its way through without you interfering. Do you know what I mean? yeah,
self-sabotage is a big
yeah,
thing.
it is because when you're in the thick of an issue, you've got your head down and you're not letting your mind wander or work its way through. Yeah, I don't know what the psychology of it is, but I just know it works. Yeah.
As Andy said in the chat, sometimes a cup of tea can solve many problems.
Yes. Carl, yes, you're right. Yeah. And not coffee though. Only
I mean,
tea.
I know I'm the odd one out here. Not just in general with all of you listening or watching the podcast. I mean, specifically with us three here, that I'm the coffee drinker and those two boys are the tea drinkers. But
I have an occasional coffee, but I'm definitely more of a tea man. Yeah.
I mean, those aren't really cups of tea that you drink, are they?
No, they're more like vats.
I was going to say
A
flagons.
stein of tea.
Don't use my hand for scale because my hands are huge as well. I haven't got anything I can use for scale.
It was around about 700 milliliters of tea in that. So it's like the average of 2 normal cups.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. It's about a mouthful. I've got me a jug of juice for tonight though.
Right, it's coming up to about 10 as we record. So should we start thinking about things that have been grabbing attention? Jamie, should we let our guest go first, or do you want to go first?
Oh, go on. Let's throw Duncan at the deep end.
Yeah. Oh. Catching my attention this week has been mostly CNC related stuff because we haven't mentioned the Makerspace, but my local Makerspace has just bought a 4x8 CNC machine, which is fantastic, and it doesn't work yet, which is even better. So I've just been absorbing CNC stuff as I have for a long time because I've been planning to make my own as well. So
you've been threatening to make that print NC for quite a while now.
Probably a year now. Probably a year that's been on my mind. But yes, that's grabbed my attention this week. Am I allowed two?
Yeah, you have two. As many as you want,
mate. Another one is a Instagram account belonging to a chap called Phil Cuttance. I'll get Andy to put the link in after. But he has been making bits and pieces from a material which I've only recently discovered in the recent months, and it's called Jesmonite. And it's a castable resin, but it's not an epoxy. It's more akin to plaster of Paris or concrete. And you can color it and shape it and do all kinds of cool stuff. But Phil has done some beautiful things, and he has a very unique method for making molds, which involves folding sheets of plastic. It's like
interesting.
It's not origami, but it's akin to that. And the way he folds and bends and shapes these sheets of plastic to create molds for beautiful things is brilliant. And he's now making candles out of those molds as well, and they look amazing. So go and check him out. That's what I've been watching. Yeah.
And I have to say, Jesmonite, I'm lucky to have just there for people watching. My sort of pointer, my finger, is a coaster that you made for me from Jesmonite with one of my drawings from Inktober last year, which is just a beautiful thing to have. It sits on my phone holder so I can see it. It's not going to have Prestige on it.
It's a very, very pretty thing.
Yes, indeed it is.
Yeah, it's great stuff. If you're looking for something for your birthday list or Christmas list, the Jesmonite starter kit is about 35 quid. Everyone who likes making stuff should grab some. It's fun. And you can do it with your kids.
I have the kit, and
I know you have.
got round.
I also know it's still in the box.
It is. I have opened the lid and gone, ooh, I need to do that.
Yeah.
And then keep forgetting.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Or getting other stuff in the way.
So, Jamie, what's been grabbing your attention to stop you from getting onto the Jesmonite?
Well, I've been doing a bit more 3D printing over the last week. Quite a while ago, Sunlu were very kind. So one of the 3D printing and filament and machine manufacturers were kind enough to send me a large amount of the PETG filaments that Duncan was talking about before. And it's sort of getting in my way a little bit. So I decided to do some just random printing of some stuff. And a good friend of ours and hopefully future guest on the show, Soph, is also a massive Marvel nerd, just like me, and we've both really been enjoying Loki. So I'm printing Loki's helmet, which is in about 300 million pieces. But I have a nice box of bits, which once completed will be getting sent to Soph for her to do something with. The giant jigsaw of putting it all together first would be the first challenge for her. But yeah, that's been the main thing. A little bit of pottering around, but also there was a Nintendo Direct thing through the E3 show, and they announced that 35-year anniversary of my absolute favourite game franchise, the Metroid franchise. There is a new game coming out. So I have been absorbing as much of that as I could get over the last week or so. The kind of the main two things, like sort of digitally, and a friend of mine called Tony, who does some pretty cool artwork. He's been doing some stuff on like sexuality and gender recently, which has been some pretty fun stuff. So we'll put his link in the thing as well. But he does a lot of stuff with like drawing work, portraits and stuff around burlesque stuff. That's his sort of usual thing, which is quite interesting artwork that he does.
Cool.
So yeah. How about you, Andy? What have you been losing your attention to?
Yeah, not a lot. Busy week doing other things. Have an invalid at home to do quite a lot of taking care of, so that's been taking up quite a lot of time. Few things though, not any actual making myself. I did try to get out this afternoon to the tinkerage, and as I approached the back door, the heavens opened, and I knew that there was a broken dining chair sitting in the middle of the tinkerage, so the entire of the tinkerage, which I would have then had to get out in the pouring rain to get in. So that I just turned around and went back and found other things to do. The
British weather scuppered your plans.
Yes, as it does. But this week I've been on to Anchor, who are distributing our audio podcast, to try and find out why a number of the podcast providers have yet to get to our podcast. So it's available on some, so like Spotify and Google Podcasts, but there's a few others like Pocket Casts and Apple Podcasts, which it's not been going to. But they got back to me late yesterday to say that there'd been something gone amiss at the back end.
It's always something with the back end, isn't it?
Yeah. They weren't sure what.
Sorry,
but
Gov, it was us.
Yeah.
Go back to the curry that was in the chat.
Yeah. So hopefully, for those people who are listening to this and have yet to be able to actually get this on their audio provider of choice, podcast provider of choice, hopefully that will get sorted out in the next few days. Hopefully, it can take a bit of time when it gets to each provider, so it can take up to 10 days to 2 weeks for Apple Podcasts, iTunes as was, to kind of get it going. But hopefully that will be sorted out soon. Pocket Casts has now got it, I'm told. So I had that one come through today saying that was the case. So that's hopefully we'll sort that out. I think we reached 130 subscribers on YouTube. I've still got to wait a few more days. Yeah, it's good going. A few more days before I can claim the custom URL for us. So looking forward to that. I'll get onto that as soon as that happens. Still quite a few other things to put in place. Those people on this, we've got another few people on Patreon. Patreon, I'm going to be putting out a bit of a questionnaire to kind of see what they want in terms of kind of reward or involvement.
Yeah, have we
There's a
officially
few
launched
ideas.
our Patreon yet? Or is
No, we
just
haven't.
people
So
who've
this is people are finding
snuck
it
in and found us.
joining on, and very very grateful for that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it is going to help. It is going to be able to provide us, for example, StreamYard. We can hopefully at some point get that, so it's paid for, so we can make more efficient use of it. Get rid of get rid of that in the corner, and also kind of be able to download things through StreamYard rather than having to do it through YouTube, which takes a long time downloading things from YouTube. Don't know why, but it's one of those things, but we'll get to that. But kind of more personally for grabbing my attention, this week I won't spoil it, but I was listening to, as I do every week, Fools with Tools podcast when it came out, and Alex Halfpenny. Yeah, I was going to say that's it. Yep. For the benefit of the audio listeners, Jamie is now pointing to his Fools with Tools podcast sign, which he has on his wall. So I was listening to that, and Alex Halfpenny, who's one of the better looking of the British hosts. That's a joke, Steve. Honestly, Steve, that's a joke.
That's right. Steve won't listen to this anyway.
No, this will be the one he listens to. Yeah. First and last one. Yeah. He was telling us a little bit about his week, and he's had a bit of a past few weeks. He said there's been a few things going on, kind of in his life, not kind of related to his making or his work. And he's taken on a change. He's taken on a role, which I'm not going to spoil because I think you should go and listen to it. Which really, it made me grin. It really kind of warmed the cockles of my heart. So being kind of from the same background, which if you listen to it, you'll kind of maybe understand. It will, it kind of really warmed my heart listening to that and what he's taking on. Other things, I've been watching, I think I might have mentioned this last week, on BBC there's been a photography kind of reality show, Great British Photographer, or I think that might be the title or something like that, which is slightly different to other kind of competitions. I mean, we always watch things like Sewing Bee and Great British Bake Off and the like. But it was really nice in that they didn't kick people off. So it was only 4 weeks long, and the 6 people who started were there at the end. But they did pick a winner as such. But it was nice to actually see people grow. And it kind of spurred me
it's an interesting change.
I want to start taking photographs again. I've let my photography slide a bit. And I'm determined to sort that out, to actually kind of get taking photographs again. So it was kind of nice to watch that. And I've also been reading a book. I managed to get to a library a couple of weeks ago. First time for 14 months, 15 months, if not longer. And it was nice to actually go in and actually pick some books up off the shelves and get there. And I've been reading a book called Make It Now by a guy called Anthony Burrell, who's a typographer, graphic designer, British based, and it's a lot about kind of typography, but it's not a book about typography. But he uses that as his medium to talk about creativity and inspiration, and it's an easy read, and it's actually nice to actually have a book in your hands and actually kind of turn pages. So it's something I don't do enough of, and I really should do more of, because I find it a much nicer experience than reading things on a screen or on a phone. I'm perfectly capable of doing those, but maybe just because I'm old and
there's something
grew
visceral,
up
isn't
with
there?
books. Yeah, it's almost the smell of things as well. So those are things that have been grabbing my attention, and I think that's it really. So that's it. I'd hope to do a bit of making, and I hope to I am determined to get out into the Tinkerage and do something this week. I haven't for quite a bit of time, and I need to change that.
You and me both.
Yeah. So next week we have our first guest who we've not bullied and bludgeoned and bribed and blackmailed into attending.
Someone
so
we've
somebody that's
invited on
not-
who's accepted rather than
Yes,
told. they've
who's
done it.
yes, somebody who's a little bit. I was going to say a little bit famous, but yeah, we've had people on a bit famous. Yeah, I mean, Cal's well known across the entire kind of European continent for being involved in sort of the maker community. But no, we've got next week we have Ruth Amos, who is one half of Kids Invent Stuff, which is a fantastic channel. She's actively involved in the maker community. She's active in the maker community because it's surprising where she crops up. I won't say too much about her right now because we're going to have an entire show to talk about her and talk with her. But it's surprising where she crops up. Yeah, the number of times I've kind of dropped into live streams by a variety of people, and she props up as a kind of a moderator on the kind of sort of live streams. You think, oh, here you are again. So we keep bumping into each other. And
I suppose as a nice link from our current guest is she's also got a bit of an engineering background.
She has indeed.
Seems to be we've had this kind of meandering link between guests every week so far, which is.
But unlike me, she's actually just started a YouTube channel too.
She has. She
has.
Doing very well.
Her first video was a few weeks ago, and it's all about her shed, and it's great.
Yeah, it's a lovely shed.
It's a
really
lovely
nice
shed. It's based on plans from Colin Furz's shed, so it's a good watch. You should go watch it.
I was going to say,
She's
if
done
you're
a
a fan
great
of Colin
job on her
Furze,
first video.
you'll have seen her pop up again.
Yeah.
As I said, she seems to be popping up in a lot of places. So yeah, she's a lovely person, and I'm hoping we can have a really good chat next
This will
week.
be a lovely low point in her career then. Hanging out with us for an hour.
Better get it out of the way quick, then, didn't she?
I was going to say she's got a rising career. She's working very hard. She's very, very hard working. She's brilliant, really. Yeah, kind of all round brilliant. So I'm really looking forward
Unlike
to that.
Duncan, obviously.
Well, all guests are brilliant. Yeah, all our guests are brilliant. We wouldn't invite them on if they weren't brilliant. That's kind of this requirement to come on. And that's why we have the two lists. Yeah, there's the brilliant list and there's the not brilliant list.
Which is the list that Dan's on. List 3. I mean, we couldn't not put Dan on his own list, you know.
Yes, there is another list. Yes, yeah. I thought we weren't going to mention that one because of its the implications of a third list. Yeah, so we have to be careful. And then we've got we've had several other people say yes to coming on, and at the moment, I think we only have one person actually scheduled in, which is sometime after Ruth. So we've still got to get somebody for the 4th of July. I think at one point we were discussing getting somebody from America on. We have had some Americans who have said yes to coming on, but yeah, they might be a little bit busy. Yeah, sort of celebrating their lack of colonialism.
That'd be great.
Getting rid of those
evening 4th of July with two Brits.
So hopefully we'll have something sorted out by next week for the week after.
The 4th of July, I think, might be a fun one.
Oh.
Beers are on Andy then.
When you get a call partway through a course by somebody who should be watching and possibly is watching, I don't know.
Oh, that's got to be Chris. Got to be Chris.
No, it wasn't. It was Dale.
Oh.
Mr. Kirkwood.
But no, I think the 4th is going to be an interesting one because that will be the Sunday that I will be travelling back from seeing our good friends Mr. House and Mr. Wave Cycles. So I might be podcasting from the car.
Or I'll start and then you
There's your guest
join
sorted.
in. Yeah, we'll
Could be
sort
somewhere
that.
on
We'll
the
sort that out.
M5.
There will be a show. I might be hosting
Yes.
solo, but we'll go with that. Apparently, Dan tried to call your phone 2 minutes ago, Jamie.
Yeah, that
But you
doesn't
obviously have
surprise
the
me
good
in the
sense
slightest.
to have it on silent.
Yep, there we go.
I think that's probably a good time to stop because my face is hurting now, which is a good sign that we've had an enjoyable chat. So I think that's good.
Absolutely. I mean, Duncan, do you need to make a formal apology to Caro for it being
Floki.
just you for the entirety of the podcast? No flow.
I don't think we need to be formal about it. I'll make up for it.
I'd imagine she'll be mad just until you show his little cute face, and then
I think so too. Yeah. Let
So I
the
guess
boys
we
sleep.
should. Yeah. Especially this time, like you don't want to be having to kind of run around for the next 3 hours while you suddenly awake
Yeah.
again. Yeah. So where can people find you, Duncan? They want to find your work. What's the best place?
I'm all over the place as Little Hobby Shop. Instagram, Facebook. Don't bother with
GitHub.
Facebook. GitHub, Twitter. That's it. Yeah, and on a few varying Discords as well.
Yes.
Just randomly appearing in.
Yes, I might just appear.
Weird and wonderful
I like
places.
to lurk on Discord, so it might be a little while before you see me appear, but I'm there, just waiting.
Hiding in the shadows, waiting to pounce.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you very much for
on the
coming
Fools
on.
with Tools Discord.
Thank you.
Yes, been a really nice
Yeah.
chat. Nice to
It's been good.
kind of hopefully introduce you to other people as well.
Yeah, I've done a good job hiding up until now.
Right. So I think it's time for us to say goodnight. So good night from me.
Not from me.
Good night from me.
So we'll see you all hopefully next week. No,
In some
bye,
form or
folks.
another.